Hello and welcome to another of our classic Crucible matches. Now 1992 at the Crucible was a year of shocks. 8 of the top 16 seeds fell in the first round. But that fate didn't befall our defending champion John Parrott, who actually created a bit of a slice of history, defeating Eddie Charlton 10-0, the first ever Crucible whitewash. But John didn't make it to the final that year. That was the preserve of Stephen Hendry and Jimmy White. In fact, it was a carbon copy of the final lineup from 2 years earlier in 1990. And little did they know, they would continue to see rather a lot of one another on these occasions in the coming years. In that championship, Jimmy White was on fire. He'd already made a 147, a maximum break. And so too was Stephen Hendry, who had thumped Terry Griffiths 16-4 in their semi-final.
I'd beaten Jimmy in the 1990 final, my first World Championship win. And obviously to meet him again at the second time at the final was obviously unique.
Touching ball. Do you mind, sir? Thank you.
Any left? The referee, John Street, just asking a spectator if he'd mind not moving.
One.
Well, Hendry thought about that for a long time, but eventually turned down the safety.
Eight.
So once again, another good opportunity for Stephen.
9. $16. $17. $24. 25.
Best of 35 frames, but the air thick with tension in the opening frame.
Yes, and that's another very well played shot from Stephen. And the black's still
31.
open to this right hand corner pocket, so an excellent chance. Certainly for Stephen to get a
32
sizable
point.
break together.
This is only the first frame, but Jimmy White will be very anxious to get into the match as soon as possible because he lost the opening frame of last year's final, 7-0 to John Parrott. The opening session, I should say.
39. $40. $47. $48.
Yes, and I think this is just the start Stephen would have wanted. It has been a first-class break. Certainly wasn't straightforward when he started it. But now
55.
he's still got sufficient open reds to clinch the frame at this visit.
56. $63. $64.
So, snooker's already needed.
$71. $72.
Even though the frame's already won, Hendry will want to keep White sitting in his chair to keep him cold.
$79. $80. $87.
It's Clive, and the way he's going, it looks as though he may just do that.
88.
And what a start this is.
95.
This has been a tremendous break after quite a long safety bout.
$96. 103.
Century break in the first frame of the World Final.
$105.
So that's the opening frame to Stephen Hendry, and he couldn't have a more impressive frame than that.
Jimmy responded well with a break of 70 in frame 2, but it's Hendry who'd had a stellar season, claiming no fewer than 8 trophies including the Masters, who edged ahead again as we rejoin them in frame 4.
The fourth frame, Stephen Hendry to break.
Attempted not only to pop the red, but develop the black.
One. One, Jimmy White.
And that's probably been the worst miss of the match so far. Not been many easy balls missed.
One.
And is Stephen going to make Jimmy pay for that miss?
7.
Only the one
8.
loose red now at the near the blue, but the pack is loosely packed, and if you can get into those, they should spread nicely.
14. $15.
Somewhat unorthodox choice of shot, splitting the bunch from a red, but must have calculated that at the worst he was going to have some sort of a shot at the black.
$15, Stephen Hendry.
So in the last frame, Hendry missed a couple of easy balls, but still won it. White missed an easy ball there, and Hendry didn't take advantage.
Yes, and certainly giving Jimmy a good chance to hit back here. Plenty of reds available. And all the big colours available.
9.
Overhit that one, was playing for the blue in the centre. And Jimmy will be trying to get on one of these two reds near the pink as soon as he possibly can. Looks as though he's managed it this time.
11.
And this time, choice of about 4 reds. It's not the easiest red he took, but that was the important one. Now we'll have the pink open into both corner pockets shortly.
$18. 19. 25. 26.
And now what a big shot this pink is. All the other reds spread nicely around the pink spot. And again, Jimmy's now found the gap, but
32.
still has the red into this left-hand corner pocket.
33.
'Well, I don't know what distracted him for a moment there. Perhaps a butterfly or something.
$35. 36.
And now if Jimmy can just screw up into those 3 reds near the black, he'll certainly have a pot on, probably one into the right-hand corner pocket. By moving that red, of course,
42.
he's opened up the path for the black into this left-hand corner. So I would certainly expect now Jimmy to clinch the frame at this visit.
43. 50.
Twice Hendry has been the odd frame in front. White has responded once and is responding again.
$51.
Jimmy, if he can pot the black, of course, would go 44 in front with 43 on the table. Selecting the pink, so needs one more red to leave Stephen needing snookers.
$57.
Should be easy enough, but I wonder if he was aware of the score.
$58. $65. 66.
So just 100 on for Jimmy. We can knock the black in and all the colours. And that would be a fitting end, I think, to an excellent session of snooker.
73. 75.
White has hit the ball very sweetly in this break.
78.
He's worked and practiced all his life for this. His heart's desire, a world title.
82. 87.
All the necessary touch and ability is there.
93.
If only he can get to the table often enough to use it. So with a break of 100, Jimmy White levels at 2-all at the intermission.
The two men shared the next couple of frames before Jimmy stole frame 7 with a break of 68. And in the next, as we go back to them, it's Stephen at the table, 53 points ahead.
Foul. 4. Jimmy White.
The wrong ball into the pocket. And what's happening here?
4. Stephen Hendry.
Jimmy, looking at that, couldn't understand it. Tense.
Oh, he was a long way away with that one. And was lucky really to get the kiss off the ready play to pot to send him in the balk area. That's close. Now Jimmy looking, does the blue cover the red? If it doesn't, and I don't think it does, that could have cost him the frame.
Lovely camera shot there, showing you the swerve on the cue ball, just sufficient to take the red away into the pocket.
Eight.
No.
8. Stephen Hendry.
And that was the ball that Stephen wanted. 61 points ahead, but there's 67 points on the table.
One.
Good shot, well appreciated from the audience. But this is going to be the key shot. Jimmy needs all the balls remaining. That's not too bad.
8.
The only way he could develop the reds was to run into them. The red into the left centre. The other reds are available. This is a chance.
Nine.
I say a chance in a contest which is of such a high standard.
$14. $15.
A little bit straight on the black for what he would have liked. So I've got to play a good positional shot now on the next red.
$22.
Just glancing at the scoreboard there to see the situation.
$23.
He needs a good pot now. And Jimmy
28.
doesn't fail us.
$29.
Pink or black.
So he's 25 points behind.
36.
The 6 colours will give him the frame.
38. $41.
Stephen Hendry missed 1 red in this frame, the most important red of the frame.
45.
Jimmy's underhit that. A little bit of work to do now. Played it well.
50.
This is a big frame. Stephen Hendry had the first chance. Is this the winning chance?
56.
So a break of 63, the first frame of the evening, and a 2-frame lead.
Like Hendry, Jimmy White had come to the Crucible in pretty decent form. He'd scooped 3 titles that season, and he continued to press home his advantage here, opening up a very substantial 5 frames lead. And he looked very much on track for the title as we came into the final day of this contest. Hendry now trailing by 11 frames to 6.
The first chance of a pot from Stephen. Red just above the black into the right-hand corner.
Thank you.
Very nearly flipped one in the middle.
Yes, and that's a bad mistake, though, from Stephen. Not only has he left Jimmy a red, but he's opened up the black, of course.
One. Eight. Nine. Sixteen.
Playing
17.
with a calmness and dedication.
Yes, and probably has an angle on here to
24.
disturb another couple of reds when potting this red.
25.
Didn't catch any of the others, but still 3 open reds here.
$32. $33.
That's the first bad shot he's made, and he's still on the black.
Certainly doesn't look like a bad shot now, Ted. Playing with so much confidence here.
$41.
And everything falling into place.
$46.
If Jimmy White continues like this, they'll need the builders in at the Crucible tomorrow. The crowd here will take the roof off.
47. $53.
Wonder what's going through young Stephen's mind.
54. $56. $57.
Getting dangerously near the point of the frame where there's no return for the world's #1 star, Stephen Hendry.
60.
And if Jimmy can get a black off this red, of course, that will be sufficient to leave Stephen needing snookers yet again.
61.
Yes, that's the one. 68 points ahead now, and only 67 points
68.
left. And I don't think Jimmy's finished.
69. $76.
Now that's extraordinary if that red's on. It is.
It wasn't
77.
straight on, obviously. Jimmy had to put it with a lot of left-hand side on the white.
Break goes to 84, and there's still 51
84.
points there.
85.
Doesn't look as though either of these reds will pot, so Jimmy may have to disturb them, just checking to see if one will pot in the left-hand corner. But what a tremendous performance here. All that Stephen Hendry has done wrong in 2 frames has missed 1 red.
$92. $93.
Again, having to pot the red there with left-hand side.
But this one for the century.
$101.
Takes the pink instead of the black. 6 colours to go for a break of
107.
134.
$109.
The lad from Tooting in South London.
112.
He played truant from school to go to the local billiard hall, purely and simply to play the
116.
game he loves. And here he is, on his way to the Embassy World title.
Yes, Ted, and I think this is the best start I've ever seen anyone make at the Crucible on the final day's play.
127.
Fantastic performance. So Jimmy White takes the first 2 frames of the 19 were left in this final day and now leads by 6 frames at 12 frames to 6.
One. Eight. Nine. $16. 17. 24.
Well, he seemed to catch the black a little thin, still went in, and he's just on that red. But he was flirting with danger a little
25.
there. But now looks to have just about the right angle on the black to drop on the next red.
$32.
Took the cue ball much too close to the cluster. So, end of break.
$32. Stephen Hendry.
Stephen there finishing off with most important thing one must do when you've just run out of position. When the balls were there, that's collect your thoughts and put all the concentration into the next safety shot. And he's pretty awkward for Jimmy.
He forces a mistake, but not an easy opportunity.
One. Four.
A bad positional shot, though. He was playing for the red between the pink and the side cushion.
Yes, he can still cut a red to this left corner. He's taking the one which is the finer of the cut, knowing he'll be away to safety if he misses it.
4. Stephen Hendry.
But that's two good chances that Stephen's had this frame, and I think probably the first time that we've seen either player not really exact the maximum penalty when he's been in the balls.
One.
An inch the other way, it was end of break. As it is, a chance to get right back into this frame.
Seven. 8.
But sending a red to a safeish position.
$13. $14. 21.
Looks to be about right to screw back behind the other red. And with the one that's gone to the left-hand
28.
cushion being the right side of the table for Jimmy, being a left-handed player, he's got every chance here.
$29.
Choice of shot. Can drop in behind the red or try to develop it.
$35.
Wanted to catch the red about half ball, but caught it almost full. What a fabulous red.
$43. $45. $48.
So Hendry needs snookers. Not that he's going to get the chance to play for them.
52.
And this has been a fabulous clearance.
$57.
All the more so, considering the juncture at which it was made.
63.
The last three reds were safe, but Jimmy White cleared up brilliantly with 63 and now leads by 14 frames to 8.
Full of confidence in this, his third Crucible final, White opened up a 14 frames to 8 lead, and he looked a strong favourite to finally claim the title that had eluded him for the past 8 years.
I was 14-8 up with Stephen Hendry, and I went for a red. I got a bit impatient. I had a very easy snooker. I missed the red, and Hendry cleared up, and it went 14-9, but I still thought I wasn't really bothered. I was sitting in my chair, and I was thinking, you know, should I thank my headmaster who's let me have the time off? Should I thank the guy who helped me in the snooker club? I won't thank this guy. And I was sitting there sort of giving my victory speech.
It was 10-14 Stephen was trailing as we went into the final session. And as we join the action in frame 25, Hendry's at the table, 7 points adrift.
both players here. They're playing some very good safety indeed. These long shots of this nature are so demanding, even so under the circumstances.
Stephen plays to the right-hand side of the red between the black and the yellow. He'll have to be careful that the cue ball doesn't catch the black. Very good. Extreme edge of the ball.
Well, not 100%, but quite satisfactory. At least all this safety play is perhaps helping them to get rid of some of the early butterflies.
Another very well played shot. Danger is the shots that they're playing is to catch the red too thick. They could leave it across the left corner pocket. This ball may be on for Stephen to have a try at. Didn't catch it quite right, but if that cue ball gets in behind the green, it'll be handy. Single ball in front of the yellow is the only ball on for the corner, but Jimmy's snookered by the blue. Another good safety shot called for. A chance for Stephen. He'll take one of the two reds on to the left corner.
So the first mistake after quite a long safety spell there. Now, colours, every colour possible. Chance for Jimmy White to take this frame. If it drops nicely.
1.
And it would be difficult to put the cue ball in a more awkward position. Whether he can see the black, well, it's obviously tight. It's
Black
taking
ball.
a little bit aside. Well played.
Eight. Nine. Yeah. 16.
Has an angle on the red to move the cue ball back out for the black. To position onto the last red, he may well take the yellow ball.
17.
So 31 points ahead now, and this red will make Frame safe.
24.
Oh, and he's missed it.
24. Jimmy White.
Well, he played the positional value of the shot. I thought he might have just plopped that one in. Maybe a trifle fortunate that he didn't leave it on. And John Street there, looking to see if that was a touching ball. He hasn't commented, so obviously it isn't. Well, shall I or shan't I? In full flight, I don't think he'd miss this.
Very important ball for Stephen. It's a very important frame, this opening frame. He's made it this time.
And a perfect
One.
angle on the blue or the pink.
Six.
Just scraped by the black ball. Get position on the green here. He's in a strong
8.
position.
$11.
So Stephen requiring all the balls.
$15.
And my word, he looks anxious.
$20.
This angle to come off the side cushion for the black.
Well, surely
26.
Stephen can't miss this. So a frame, opening frame of this session has taken just on half an hour. A very, very tough frame indeed. It's taken by Stephen Hendry. He pulls one back, 14-11.
Two more half-centuries followed for the Scot as Jimmy's title challenge began to unravel. He'd gone into that final session with a 4 frames advantage, and now it was down to just 1 as we headed into frame 28.
Jimmy will be trying his heart out to win this.
Well, he has read a difficult one into a blind centre pocket or a long red, whichever he fancies. This will say a lot. And there we are. This young man is beginning to flow.
1.
Black on now.
6. 7.
he doesn't have to worry just yet. There are still
14.
reds to unfold here.
$15. $22. $23.
Interesting to see now if Stephen tries to position onto the red closest to the top cushion. It's a good angle on the black to do that, but that's the type of red that is missable. Oh, he's giving it a miss, going for the one to the left middle.
30. $31.
Pink to the right middle. This plant can be made. I don't see him gaining position on another red. It could be the end of break. Black is onto the corner as well, but he's settling for the pink. Is he going to try this plant to the left corner?
Well, it looks pretty good.
So it's just off Jack, but he can make it on. The two reds are nicely apart.
$37.
Back for the blue. Well, the bump of the centre cushion helped there. Now, if Stephen can get back amongst the reds, he's opened 3 more. And he's there, and already
40.
5 frames in a row he's fought back. Is this going to be the 6th?
$41.
And these must be, well, almost terrifying moments for Jimmy. The hardest part of a professional's career, I would suggest.
$48. $49.
So 56 points ahead, and he's
56.
really got the bit between the teeth now. But this is a tremendous effort. He's salvaged his pride and everything that goes with it here.
Can he split these reds? Must be a red on.
Yes,
Not another plant, surely.
64.
And that surely is going to be a frame winner.
55.
This is the sort of situation that is important for Stephen. He's refused to take that red till now. He's in good position here. Sort of situation where Stephen doesn't want the interval to be coming on.
79.
Jimmy certainly does.
Frame safe.
80.
It belongs to Stephen Hendry, and it's probably one of the biggest frames that he's ever won, I would suggest. And being totally impartial at this stage, I would
86.
suggest he's got to be the favourite.
87. 94.
They're suffering, hoping, but it's too late
95.
for this one. So tremendous applause there, and what a treat this audience is having today. This must be the best final we've had for years.
102.
In terms of quality of play, all aspects.
$108. 110.
So the colours on their spots, a battling, fighting frame by Stephen Hendry. Just showing us, proving to us that the title of world #1 is truly justified.
$117. 122. 128.
Well, he's not bothered about the black. So a wonderful finish, a beautiful clearance by Stephen Hendry. At the interval, they are 14 frames apiece.
From playing Jimmy a lot, I could sort of read signs of when he was under pressure. He started hitting the ball too hard. He started sweating. He was constantly mopping his brow, and I could sense that, and that gives you encouragement as well. But apart from all that, I mean, those things are good to know. But the most important thing is your own game, and I just gained in confidence. I just grew in confidence that the more frames I won.
That was the worst place to leave it. The black's available to the left corner.
One.
Keeps the cue ball on the black spot.
8. 9.
And they're as tense as I am.
Stephen with a bit of a problem. Can knock the black in, but will do very well to stay onto a red. was a wonderful shot. To hold for the red there,
16.
off that thin contact was superb.
$17. Green ball. $17. Queen Hendry.
One just gets the feeling, Ted, that Stephen is revelling in this atmosphere. He seems to be enjoying it now more than at any time during the match.
Yes, I'd agree, Ray, and what's more, he seems to have taken command, dictating at the moment.
One. Eight. Eight. Stephen Hendry.
A lot of applause from our audience here, but in fact that was a little fortunate. They all count, of course. $22 points the difference.
Yes, this is a nasty little shot, though, Ted, at this juncture, under severe pressure.
One. Eight. Eight. Jimmy White.
Played that one with sufficient strength to get the red away from the pocket. Seemed a cheeky one to me, Ray.
Yes, Stephen was quite intent, though, Ted, in leaving the cue ball on the cushion.
Is that red going over the middle pocket? I don't think it's potable.
I'm pretty sure it is, Ted. I think he'll play that a fairly fast cut. Well, you're right. Jimmy doesn't fancy it. He's going for the other one. It'll be potable in a minute, Ted, when he gets this colour.
That puts him 10 points behind now.
4. Five.
As you can see, the colours widely spread. Stephen has a sup. Oh dear.
5. Jimmy White.
Both struggling for the advantage of this frame.
Two. Five.
Well, with the brown, Stephen knocks it in. Jimmy can tie.
Nine.
So does he go for the blue? Pink over the middle pocket. Big shot, this one.
Nine. Stephen Hendry.
And Stephen looks anxiously. He knows this is the right side of the table for the left-hander, Jimmy White.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Quiet, please.
But Jimmy wants the 3 balls. And they're still on the table. Is this a bit strong? Decision time.
So if he takes the pot on, Ted, sure to run into the black. That could go anywhere.
Well, he moved all 3 colours there. Oh, I don't think that's strong enough.
But can Stephen hit it?
This could make a big difference. Stephen misses it. Jimmy can win. At the moment, he can only tie. Performance then by the world's #1 star, Stephen Hendry. He's won the last 7 frames and now leads 15 frames to 14. Scotland's Stephen Hendry breaks off.
Well, he's looking at the plant, the 2 reds. It looks as if it might just slide past the red near the corner pocket, if they're lined up.
Jimmy having another thrash there. Can you imagine how this young man feels? 6 frames up, now 1 down. 4th time in this final.
One.
To be fair, Ted, I think Jimmy had to have a go at that, and earlier in the match he was knocking them in. I think if he's going to beat Stephen Hendry, can't afford to compromise. He's still got to go for the shots exactly as they were
6.
working early on, and just hope that he can turn the run of the balls around.
Seven. $12. $13. 19. $20. $20, Stephen Hendry. Thank you.
Yes, suddenly Jimmy's getting very near, but they're not going down.
One.
Just about a half inch. Too much pace.
One, Stephen Hendry.
Another mistake.
Yes, again, Ted, to be fair to Jimmy, it's not unforced errors that he's making. It's a good safety shot by Stephen. It's really keeping the screw on Jimmy at the moment. Jimmy's just going to have to hang on in there and wait for things to change.
One.
I suppose it's fair to say, Ray, that Stephen waited for almost a day and a half on the change for him.
Absolutely, Ted, but hasn't he taken advantage of that change?
And their eyes glued to the table as the capacity crowd hear the Crucible, watching every move of these two young men.
Seven. Spider.
Asking for the spider.
Eight. Eight. Stephen Hendry.
The tension's beginning to tell.
One. Green ball. One. Jimmy White.
How is the pink covering that? Certainly is. Is that in the pocket? Yes.
Foul 4. Jimmy White. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Quiet, please. One.
Now, can he dislodge any of those reds off the pink? Looks to have just about enough angle. Taking the cue ball off the side cushion.
Seven.
Well, it's just not happening for Jimmy at the moment. Although it's difficult, one can only say he's got to remain patient.
Seven. Jimmy White.
Perfect strength, of course, the cue ball right underneath that cushion. But I think Jimmy can just get through here, certainly to disturb it. And yes.
One. Six. Seven.
Only 3 points in it now.
14.
Needs to get the cue ball out, well away from the cushion. Taking the more difficult red, the one near the cushion. That's always the danger.
14. Jimmy White.
There's no margin of error down the cushions on these tables.
One.
He is trying so very, very hard. Now fighting the balls as well as an opponent.
Eight.
And now a tricky one for Stephen. Hasn't much choice but to play it dead weight. Tries to play it with pace, much more difficult.
Just enough strength for it to drop in the bucket.
9. 16. $17.
Puts him 20 points ahead.
$24. $25.
Jimmy's again in trouble. Now wants snookers.
$32. $34.
You know, Ted, that red down the side cushion that Stephen looked as if he'd missed, it went in. Just the difference compared with Jimmy's shot a minute before.
37.
That might just prove to be the difference at the end of the day.
41.
But this is a magnificent performance by this young man.
46.
Otting his way now to victory for 8 consecutive frames. The pink drops in, and he's leading by 2 frames at 16 frames to 14. The hand of the referee there, John Street, looking to see if those 2 balls are touching.
No, it's not.
No, he decides they're not touching.
Well, Jimmy knew that he had every chance of taking the cue ball away. But mood this young man's in, he's liable to knock this one in.
One. Pink ball.
One just has the feeling that if Jimmy White is going to win tonight, he's going to have to win it. Stephen's not going to let him back too easily.
8.
It must be absolute torment for Jimmy to be sat there in the chair. But the adrenaline's flowing through the veins of this 23-year-old
13.
Scot.
$14.
Every chance this time to
19.
get on the black.
$20. $27. $28. $35. $36. $43. $44. $51. $52.
And all of a sudden, Ted, it's just as if Stephen was having first frame of a match, and it wasn't the world final. Everything looking very easy.
It's like having a game down the pub.
$59. $60.
Jimmy looking terribly thoughtful there. Almost dejected, I feel, having lost 8 frames on the trot. The break now 65.
65. $66.
The next colour, Ted, means that already Jimmy's wanting a snooker. And to be fair, Jimmy has done nothing wrong this frame. Just one brilliant red from
72.
Stephen.
$73.
He's just an amazing young man. Break goes to 80, and there's still 4 reds to go.
80. $81.
Started this final session 6 frames down. Now looking for 1 frame only to take the Embassy World title.
87. $88.
It's all there in that young face.
94. $95.
Wait for the applause for the century. Yet another one.
$102. $107.
And it must be terrible for 30-year-old
109.
Jimmy White sat there in a chair while Stephen occupies the table. Whatever is going through that young man's mind.
112.
Well, this has been an immaculate break,
116.
Ted. He's never been in trouble for one moment. He's had an awfully
121.
inevitable ending. Wonderful break.
127.
Just the black for 134 and 9 consecutive frames.
The 32nd frame, Stephen Hendry to break.
So, is he breaking off for the Embassy World title? Or can Jimmy save the match? The winner to collect £150,000. The loser, £90,000. Caught it on the way back. Oh, yes.
One.
And Jimmy immediately apologized to Stephen for the fluke. Has to take full advantage of it.
4. $5.
We'll want to nudge the red away from the black spot here, I think. No. Well, the one thing I didn't think about was him missing the black, Ted. That is unforgivable, really, but he is under pressure.
Well, I'm sure every nerve in his body is completely knotted at the moment.
One.
The man of the moment.
$8.
And there is a rather sad picture.
$9. $16.
This one up the side cushion. The rest
17.
are all out in the open.
22. $23.
There's the World Championship trophy that goes together with the £150,000.
$29.
His mind must be on the 3 previous finals he's been into.
30.
They called him the Wonder Bairn of Scotland. He's certainly proving
37.
that here at the Crucible Theatre, Sheffield, this evening.
38.
Rate goes
45.
to 45.
$46.
And once again he passes the half-century.
53.
Always in my mind on these occasions, it seems a pity after such magical snooker
54.
that someone has to lose. And Jimmy, who's been there 3 times before, will be the saddest person in Sheffield if Stephen continues at the table as he's doing at the moment.
$59. $60.
So just one more red required, and to really put it
66.
beyond doubt, he needs a snooker already. But he's had
67.
3 breaks over 50. This is the 4th, Ted. 2 centuries. It really is savage scoring by this young man.
And somehow I feel that Jimmy will come out of his chair purely and simply to shake the hands of his 23-year-old opponent.
72.
What a terrible shame. His millions of fans will be so disappointed. This was the year for Jimmy White.
73.
But one young man had different ideas. A young Scotsman by the name of Stephen Hendry. He won this Embassy World title in
78.
1990 and said he'd regain it. 10
79.
consecutive frames on the final night must be a record. Just the last red now.
86. $87.
A sad picture.
$92. 94. $97.
Stephen Hendry, world's #1 star, completing 10 frames. Capacity crowd here at the Crucible Theatre in Sheffield for this final.
106.
As Stephen goes out in a blaze of glory, he becomes the 1992 Embassy World Champion for the second time as Jimmy steps forward to shake his hand. And what a miraculous performance by a 23-year-old boy from Scotland, with victory at 18 frames to 14 after 10 consecutive victories in frames.
It was a good way to finish, and as I said, when I was 14, I just winning frame after frame after frame, I just grew in confidence.
A little bit disappointed, shall we say, is an understatement. But you know, that snooker, you don't take your chances. When you get them, you get punished.
That 1992 Crucible final will always be remembered for one of the greatest comebacks we will ever see at the Crucible. From 14-8 behind, Stephen Hendry won 10 frames in a row to win it 18-14, and he threw in 3 centuries in the last 5 frames for good measure. Jimmy White simply unable to respond amidst that onslaught. These two players would go on to contest 2 further finals, and Stephen would go on to inflict even further psychological pain upon the Whirlwind. Eventually, Stephen would retire in 2012, having claimed 7 world titles in total. Jimmy White is still waiting.